that we have contributed a lot to the negative stereotypes. And unfortunately, there are a lot of men of various races who do not want to be with Black women seriously, increasingly becoming that other races of people don't want to live among us. They don't want nothing to do with us. They are tired of us. They are sick of the foolishness. You have a Black British man who said when they thought of a Black woman, that statue, that picture came to their mind, because clearly of all the negative Black American female stereotypes is what he thought of. He didn't think of anyone elegant, classy, ladylike, virtuous, someone across the pond. To think this is what Black American women look like and stand for should be a reality check for us. Again, we got to get our brand together. And so we have to understand that sometimes the stereotypes that's out there for Black women is brought about ourselves. And we can't always blame anyone else for that. And this is why, and I've mentioned this in my book, Marriages for Black Women Too, there's a lot of dating experts and people that say, Black women are the least married demographic of women. And so they need to start dating white men. Leave Black men alone. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. So let's look at white men. Let's look at other races of men. But I've always said that you can be interested in those men. You can say, yeah, I'm gonna date a different race, but do they want to date you? And there is conclusive statistical evidence and studies that have been done that shows that men of other races do not think of Black women as wives, as serious committed relationships. They think that they're sexy and they have maybe nice bodies or whatever, but they're only good to mess around with. That's it. They see Black women as sexual fetishes or something that needs to be fulfilled, but that's it. And some don't even see it like that at all. They don't want nothing to do with them. There's lots of evidence. Click the link in the bio, Marriages for Black Women Too. It goes about, is it easy for Black women to say we want to date interracially or we want to marry interracially? We may want that, but do they want us? Do they want us around their family, their friends? Can we go to them to a business dinner or wherever they may want to take? Are they going to be embarrassed by our behavior or what people think about us? We have to understand that we have contributed a lot to the negative stereotypes. And unfortunately, there are a lot of men of various races who do not want to be with Black women seriously because of that type of behavior in Lululemon. And it's not the first. We always see these videos of some Black women acting crazy in restaurants, beating up people, fighting on the streets, not paying for their orders. There was a story of these two women beating up the waitress at a restaurant because she wanted them to pay or they didn't give her a refund, something like that. We have become known as banshees and not as classy, elegant ladies and virtuous women. And this is one of parts of the reason, and I know it's not all Black women, but I'm saying so much of this behavior has become to define us. Another situation is Black fatigue. I don't know if you've been hearing this, but Black fatigue was a book written by this Black woman back in the day. And it was supposed to be, her definition of the word was Black people getting tired of white supremacy and all of the roadblocks that it brings us as Black Americans. However, recently there has been a resurgence of the word Black fatigue, and now you are seeing mostly Caucasian people online talking about their disdain for the Black community. They are starting to feel Black fatigue. They are saying they are over the talks of struggle, racism, white supremacy, slavery. They are over all of those talks. They're done with Black victim mentality or victimhood. They're tired of Black people acting crazy in the streets, doing stuff like I mentioned in the Lululemon store, twerking up a storm, just being crazy and acting like we don't have home training. And now the new definition of Black fatigue is basically any race of people who are tired of Black people. And it's so funny because there's even videos of Black people themselves saying that they're tired of Black people. And Chris Rock, he used to talk about this. He said there's a difference between Black people and ends. And ends have got to go. That's a famous bit from his 1996 special. And that's always been so funny to me because we know it's true as Black Americans. But the reason why I'm bringing up this Black fatigue is that it's increasingly becoming that other races of people don't want to live among us. They don't want nothing to do with us. They are tired of us. They are sick of the foolishness. And you may say, well, some of that is just bias and discrimination. Okay. But then how do you explain twerking in Lululemon and random fights at restaurants sometimes, and some of this stuff that you see online, or, you know, being afraid to even talk to Black people or whatever, because, oh, is someone going to get hurt? Is someone going to get, you know, punched in the face? Whatever the case may be. And so we do have to understand what the other side is saying, what they are saying about us. And regardless if you believe it's right or wrong that they may be feeling Black fatigue, you have to understand that so much of the stereotypes in the media and the terrible characterizations of Black people and Black women and Black men, even Black children, is not helping us. These negative stereotypes and these negative, you know, narratives and the way we act sometimes and come off sometimes to people can be rude and can be ridiculous. And now there are people increasingly starting to say, I don't want to deal with Black folks. I don't even want, and that's not good, because we need to be united. If we can't deal with each other, how are we going to grow? If we can't deal with our brother or sister from a different race or background, how are we going to grow? Okay. And you could say, well, we could just focus on the Black community, but have we done that? We have not done that. We have not done that. We haven't built solid homes and solid families and solid children and solid, you know, academics. We haven't built that kind of stuff. So we do still need each other. And so we have to understand that we as Black women and Black people are contributing to the negative stereotypes and characterizations of us, to the point where there are some people that are saying, I don't want nothing to do with y'all. Okay. And then who do we blame? We don't have anyone to blame for ourselves. So we really got to think how we are presenting ourselves to the world. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about outside of the Lululemon thing is I posted this on the community page. And I was talking about, there was this statue, a 12-foot statue that was erected in New York City of a Black woman who was overweight, and she had a scowl on her face, hand on her hip. And the comments about her were just crazy. I'm not even gonna lie, I was laughing at some of them. This person, this statue was of a random person. It was a figment of this artist's imagination. The artist who came up with this is a British man who is Black, and rightfully so. I was so happy that it seemed to be a lot of Black people online that was not happy about the statue and how it made Black women look. And I talked about that on my community page, but I, you know, despite her attitude or her frown or how she was standing, how she was dressed, or how much she weighed, it just was interesting to me that someone across the pond was able to depict, like, when they found an image of Black women, that is what they thought of. Again, back to the Lululemon thing, back to the whole Black fatigue thing that I was speaking of earlier, back to the negative characterizations. You have a Black British man who said that when they thought of a Black woman, that statue, that picture came to their mind, because clearly of all the negative Black American female stereotypes, of all of the media and everything that is characterizing us and how we are characterizing ourselves. That is what he thought of. He didn't think of anyone elegant, classy, ladylike, strong in the sense of they have a strong manner. They have strong moral character. But no, he thought of a stereotype. I mean, I was hearing comments like, that lady looks like she's on Section 8. That lady looks like she don't need a man. That statue looks like, you know, she is upset because her McDonald's order didn't go through. Like, all kind of stereotypical stuff, right? And yeah, some of it made you chuckle, but it was like, this is also embarrassing. As Black women, we should want to be represented better. And for someone across the pond to think this is what Black American women look like and stand for should be a reality check for us. Yes, we can get upset with him, but what have we portrayed as Black women? What have our movies and our shows and the Shade Room and World Star Hip Hop and all of these things that other people from across the globe, they don't have access to Black Americans in their personal life every day. They don't see and interact with Black Americans. They only see and interact with what's online or what's on TV or what's been told to them by other people's experiences of us. And so because of that, that is the image that they have of us. Again, we got to get our brand together. We have to get our brand together and stop calling people squares or pick me that present Black women in a more positive or different, unique light. That isn't sexual, that isn't stereotypical, that isn't ghetto, that isn't obnoxious. that isn't a single baby mama. That's what he thought of us. That's one thing. But number two, where was the family? It was the black woman standing by herself. Where was the black man standing with her or in front of her? Where was the black children standing with the black man in the statue? No. Another thing we have to understand is the black community in America is a matriarchy. Because the fact that it was just a black woman standing on her own by herself with that attitude and that snarky attitude that, the statue gave and highlighted, but there was no man, no family, no nothing. It was just by herself. It just shows you that the world believes and knows that the Black American community is a matriarchy. And we should be even more outraged at that they know that we're out of order and our order has disappeared. That we have a form of godliness because we should have men at the forefront of our community. And we should have black children in our black men, black women, black children together, a black family. No, that wasn't what it was that wasn't what was characterized in the statue. But a black woman with a frown attitude. That's what was the depiction. So it should make us really, all these things that I'm talking about, from the Lululemon to the statue to the black fatigue, all of these conversations and things that I'm talking about, these topics today, really should make us as black women really think about how we are presenting ourselves into the world. And I've said this before, you can't change everyone's mind. You're not going to meet everyone in the world, and you're not going to meet everyone that exists ever. But what you can do is make sure that you are a positive and virtuous a wholesome representation of a black woman when you interact with people in your town, in your community, in your church, in your life, in the grocery store, where you're not walking around with a frown. And some people say, black women don't smile, they always look angry. I remember talking to someone. I was talking to this man, and he was telling me, I don't know if I mentioned this before in a video before, but he was telling me that, he was in the mall and he was just looking at all the black women that were in the mall. And he said, yeah, it just feels like they had attitudes. Like, I don't know their stories. I don't know what's going on. Maybe some had a bad day, but it seemed like the way that every black woman that I saw was walking, and how they were just walking through the mall, or how the look on their face, it just looked like they had a mission or something to prove, or just was a negative attitude, and they fromping around. And I was just like, wow, that's interesting. Sometimes we don't even know how we're presenting ourselves to others. I know when I go out in public, I try to have a smile on my face, and I'm not saying like I'm looking like that, but I'm saying that I have a pleasant look on my face. Like something like that. Even I'm just walking down the aisle or whatever, I try to do that because I want people to see the God in me, and I want people to see that I'm not this angry stereotype that you may think of. And so all these topics really need to have us thinking about, how do we present ourselves as black women, and what can we do? How can we get closer to what God's dream, his vision is for us individually, how we can carry that and be a light. We are the light of the world. If you're a believer, you're the light of the world. So as black women, it don't matter what your race, it shouldn't even matter that we're black women. We should carry God's light in us all the time. And if we're failing to do that, let's figure out why.